Hey y'all, it's Missy again. I'm just going to read another book with you. This one is called What Makes the Wind, and it's written by Lawrence Santry. Nobody can see the wind, but everybody can see what it does. Wind turns an umbrella inside out. In autumn, it makes brown leaves skip across the ground. Wind moves sailboats over a lake. It makes a field of tall grass dance and ripple. It cools your hot face on a sunny summer day. There is wind all the time, day and night. Sometimes it is strong enough to knock down houses and trees. Sometimes it is so soft you cannot feel it. When we cannot feel the wind, the air is calm, but the wind is always blowing, even on the calmest day. Heat and cold make the wind blow. Here is how it happens. Hot air is light. Because it is light, hot air rises. You can see hot air rising when smoke comes out of a chimney. Cold air is heavier than hot air. Because cold air is heavy, it sinks. If you have ever slept in bunk beds, you may have already learned that the air is always warmer on the top bunk. Now you know why. It is because warm air rises and cold air sinks. What happens outdoors when the air gets warm and rises? As the warm air moves up, it leaves an empty space. But that space does not stay empty for long. As soon as the warm air leaves, cold air moves into its place. Cold air and hot air are always changing places. These changes make the wind blow. You can see how this happens when you go to the beach. At the edge of the water, you will feel a cool sea breeze. The sun is bright over the sea and the beach. The sand gets hot from the sun. The air over the beach gets hot too. It begins to rise. But even in the bright sun, the water stays cool. The air over the water is also cool. The cool air does not rise. When the warm beach air rises, it leaves an empty space. The cool air over the sea rushes into the space left by the warm beach air. The rush of cool air is the sea breeze you feel. All the winds in the world are made by warming air rising and cool air falling. When weather reporters talk about cold fronts and warm fronts, they are really talking about large amounts of cold air and warm air. A large amount of air is called a mass. A front is where two masses of air meet. When a cold mass and a warm mass meet, it is like a battle. This battle causes all kinds of winds and weather. In the winter, the cold air mass usually wins the battle. Then we have freezing winds and snowstorms. The wind makes the snowflakes fly and whirl. It piles fallen snow into high drifts. Winter's worst storms are blizzards. A snowstorm is called a blizzard when the temperature is very low and winds are blowing at least 32 miles or 51 kilometers an hour. In the summer, the warm air mass usually wins the battle. Then we have warm winds and rain showers. Summer's worst storms are hurricanes and typhoons. These are rainstorms with winds that blow at a speed of 75 miles or 120 kilometers an hour or more. Oops. When clouds drift lazily in the sky, the winds pushing them are slow and gentle. This means there will not be much change in the weather. Anytime the winds are fast and strong, the clouds race across the sky. These strong winds are at the front of an air mass. A storm is coming. Winds bring us many good things. We need the wind to bring the rain that waters our gardens. Trees and other plants need the wind to spread their seeds. Windmills cannot turn without the wind. Birds would have to fly much harder if they did not have wind currents to carry them along. Winds have names that tell us where they come from. A west wind comes from the west. A south wind comes from the south. Winds also have names that tell us how fast they move. A gentle breeze moves at a speed of 8 to 12 miles, or 13 to 19 kilometers an hour. It keeps the flag from drooping against the flagpole. A strong breeze moves at a speed of 25 to 31 miles, or 40 to 50 kilometers an hour. It makes tree branches sway. A fresh gale moves at a speed of 39 to 46 miles, or 62 to 74 kilometers an hour. It makes trees sway and sends trash cans rolling down the street. Trash can covers rolling down the street. The wind must move at a speed of 55 miles, or 88 kilometers an hour, to be called a whole gale. When the wind blows that strongly, it can tear shingles off a roof. Some winds have special names. One of these is a southerly wind that blows in the hot, dry desert. This hot wind causes dust storms and sandstorms. It is called a sirocco. There is another very strong wind called a tornado. A tornado is sometimes called a twister because it swirls around and around. It looks like a giant ice cream cone that reaches from the sky to the ground. A twister can whirl as fast as 500 miles, or 800 kilometers an hour. A tornado begins when a large mass of cold air blows over a mass of warm air. The warm air wants to go up and the cold air wants to go down. The two masses press very hard against each other. At last, the hot air finds a weak spot in the cold air. The hot air forces through and goes shooting up. A powerful wind is born, the terrible tornado. As it whirls, the tornado can tear up trees and smash houses and cars. When a tornado happens over a large body of water, it is called a waterspout. This whirling wind picks up a lot of water until it looks like a tube made of water. More than once, waterspouts have lifted small fish into the clouds. Later, the fish came raining down. These are the places where winds blow at the same time. In some countries, it is always windy along ocean coastlines. The steady wind makes the trunks of the trees near the water grow bent and crooked. It takes a few years for wind to make a tree grow crooked, but it takes many, many years for wind to tear away rocks. This wearing away of soil and rocks is called erosion. The famous Painted Desert of Arizona was made by erosion. It took thousands of years of wind and storms to form this desert. The wind does not wear any rocks by itself. It blows water or sand against them until they look like carved animals, needles, and all kinds of beautiful and strange shapes. Winds are always at work. They change the face of the earth. A strong wind can take the sand dune you sat on yesterday and move it to the other end of the beach today. The wind brings us sunny days by blowing away the clouds. It brings other clouds filled with rain or snow. It cools us, warms us, and sings to us as it speeds through the trees. Our world would be a very different place if we did not have the wind. And that's the end of our book. What did we learn in our book? Have we talked about any of these things at school before? What is something new that you learned from our book? Is this a fiction book or a non-fiction book? Why? What from my book can help you determine the type of text this is? What are some of the different text features that we have to look for in a book to determine whether it's fiction or non-fiction? I hope you enjoyed this read aloud with Miss C. I can't wait to see y'all soon. Bye.